Straighten up. It'll be ready tomorrow. I'm sorry, miss.
Hello, hello.
How are you, brother?
He's gonna sit next to Garnet. He's gonna sit next to you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I guess it's close enough to 7 o'clock. Let's come to order and get this meeting. 7 o'clock right there, right? All right, we got all y'all showed up now. We got a full house. Oh, well, we got 2 empty seats, looks like. That's a good thing. So, glad all y'all showed up. Got a lot of familiar faces, a lot of new faces. Glad to see y'all here. Now, before we get started, we're going to have one more coming in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We already started. We're going to have an invocation, then we're going to have a pledge of allegiance. Eric, you'll do some prayer, please.
Father, we love you. We're just thankful for another wonderful day that you've given us life and given us the opportunity to be here tonight. I would just pray for the council that you give them wisdom tonight, that they would, as they vote and make decisions, God, may they truly just make decisions with clear minds. And Father, we just pray for everyone, Lord, that's in this meeting tonight, no matter if they're in the seats in the back or behind the desk. God, may we all be, Lord, slow to speak, quick to listen. And may when we do speak, may it be with respect. God, and for the believers in the room, may we show while we call ourselves followers. And Lord, we pray all this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, it's time for citizens' comments, but we have a policy in place to be followed. And I'll read that policy out to you to make sure everybody understands it. The time for citizen and public comments will be made available at the beginning and ending of each city little work session and council meeting. Comments can be made by anyone, including business owners whose businesses are located within the city limits. Comments will not be limited to any topic. Comments must be directed to the mayor and council. Language must remain civil, and the speaker should avoid personal contacts on the council or staff. The speaker should state their name and address. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. A timer will be set, and in 3 minutes, the speaker will be asked to bring their comment to a close. If there's something else to be said, an opportunity will be made available for the next session of citizen comments. Okay, now, I'll accept citizen comments, and first one up. Come on up, please.
My name is June Vincent. I live at 4719 Old Cornelia Highway, Lula, Georgia. I'm sure you all know that by now. I would like to express my appreciation to all who work tirelessly to help our community fundraiser be a success. We reached the goal that we had planned on. I want to especially thank all the people who bought extra tickets and paid for extra meals for people who couldn't afford a meal. You all paid for them, and I appreciate that. Some of our workers were part of the Historical Society, and some of our volunteers I had never laid eyes on in my life. They just volunteered to help, and I thought that was really great. To me, it was a great community event. I cannot name everyone because I don't want to leave anybody out, but I want to give a special nod to Dave Millingham, who volunteered to drive me around in the rain to retrieve all the signs that I'd put out, and Jason Miller, who had the unpleasant task of getting them up out of the ground. It wasn't easy in the dirt, in the red Georgia clay. Thank all of you so much.
Anybody else?
Robert Grizzle, 6400 Narramore Way, Lula, Georgia. I would like to direct this, of course, toward the council. I would like to know, and I think a lot of people would like to know, the status of the investigation into the councilman for District 3 here in Lula, of what's going on and where it's at with it. And also, I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth, but to reiterate what the mayor had told us about how people around the world is watching our meetings. All of our meetings, because they're online all over Facebook, and why it's been 5 months gone by since April work session where the same council member sat and not scratched but played with his genitals the entire work session. Why has not an investigation been done into that, and why not do 2 for 1 with the attorney to let him look into that? It was obscene. It's a shame on our whole community. 5 months has went by and not a person said a word about it. Thank you.
Anybody else?
This is just something that came to my,
That's
Loretta Grizzle at 6400 Narramore Way, Lula, Georgia. Something come to my attention that we need to look at. Homeless children in our community. This is due to abused females having to take off during the night. We need a safe haven, somewhere they can park and be safe. Have y'all ever thought about something like that? Because this is a major issue. And this is addressing the councilman and the mayor, because y'all have to give the okay, and maybe it can be a parking lot in a church. But the police will need to know this is a safe person, a person that needs to be protected so they don't get harassed, so they can spend the night. But it's a major issue. I didn't know about it until recently, but it's a quiet issue. So maybe y'all can come up with somewhere that these ladies can get to. They may come out of a different county just to save their lives and their child's life, but it is a major issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hey, Dave Wilson from Main Street. I was just going to ask the council, I know with the night market coming up this coming Saturday, would it be possible if we could get advertising on the Jumbotron over there? I know it's not something you guys generally use for a singular event, but a possible, since it is kind of a community-based event, I was wondering if that would be possible to advertise on it. But for y'all's consideration.
Appreciate
Thanks.
that. Anybody else? Okay. I guess it's time to start getting serious about this thing. It's money time, Dennis.
2 seconds. I won't bore everybody to death. We had the opportunity last week to talk about bank balances, and I'll flash those.
Wait a
up real
minute,
quick.
I'm sorry, did I skip one thing important?
did.
I
Yard of the
did,
month.
I did.
Yard of the month.
Again, yard of the month. Oh, and the minutes. Man, I'm trying to get done tonight, yeah. All right. Hey, everybody read the minutes, right? Anybody got any change you want to make to the minutes? I'll entertain a motion to accept them as written. Motion made by Gene Bramlett, second by Garnet Smith to accept the minutes as written. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Just unanimous. Now they're on the yard of the month. Boy, I'm trying to get through this in a hurry tonight. District 1 was Evan Cash, 5967 Tombs Street. District 2, Maria Ortiz, 6519 Victoria Lane. District 3 is 6432 Narramore Way. District 4, Stephen Hood, 6609 Belton Bridge Road. And District 5 is Gail Hunsley, 107 Waterford Ridge. Congratulations. Now, during this time I was riding around looking, we got one yard of the month. I don't believe anybody can beat in this town. I'm going to say it out loud. 207 Brookside Drive, that yard is immaculate. If you've never seen that yard, go look at it. And show me one that's better than that one. At 207 Brookside Drive. It is immaculate. I never dreamed they could do something for that lot. I looked at that lot when they built that house. I says, no way. But you look at it now, that thing is amazing. So everybody wants to be inspired by Yard of the Month, go look at that one. Thank you. Now then, Dennis.
So one of the items you were going to talk about on Yard of the Month was
Oh, yeah.
the fall leaves and, what we call autumn leaves and pumpkin please. And I believe the council during the work session wanted to recognize those with Halloween decorations and for one for each district, and then also one for autumn leaves. And I'm assuming that would run both October and November. Is that? I think that was.
That's
the
what we,
direction.
I think that's what we did last year. I'm not sure, what does council want to do about this? Do we do autumn leaves and Halloween? Because Halloween happens in October. So, and it happens before November.
Yeah, you voted, and in October, you recognized the Halloween decoration.
Yeah.
I mean, November, right.
And for the Halloween, for the autumn leaves, we went ahead and did it as normal.
Right. So that's an opportunity for everybody in each district to win a $100 utility credit.
Each month. One for Halloween and one for,
That's the mission for random drawing or?
no,
No, it'd be selected by
council selects. Okay, I think I'll call over you now, right?
Good. Well, I won't take too much time. We'll
About
talk
time.
about a couple of things we've already addressed. And that's talk about bank balances. So we reported to the council last week. We have a bank balance right now of $5,119,000. What a sweetheart deal. And we have over 9 different, actually we have over 12 different accounts. These are the one what we call operational and capital potential. So the good news is where we do have some commitment on dollars, bank balances remain strong. So we'll talk about the operational budget for those in the audience, just to let you know how that works. As a rule, we recognize the general fund and the utility fund for operations. Everything else, capital improvements, those type of things, those are directed by dollars as well as from the general fund and sometimes from the utility fund, but also in the splosh accounts that we might carry, or escrow, or water and sewer, what we call TCR accounts. So right now, more importantly than anything else, I reported to the council, we're about 10 weeks into our fiscal year, so we ought to be at about 20%. Our general fund, as a rule, runs behind up until November. I know it makes me cry sometimes too. But nonetheless, we're running about 87% on revenue expenditures. We're running at about 85%, which means that we actually have a deficit as we sit here today. An adjusted deficit would suggest $33,000. Not for everybody to get excited yet. This is very common in governments that run a fiscal budget from July 1 through June 30th. I always point out that oftentimes counties and cities borrow money between this period of time. We're not doing that. And then they wait till November when all the property tax comes in. Well, we don't have that luxury, and I hope it continues that way, because we don't collect property taxes. But you'll see over the next second quarter, we'll come back out ahead. On the utility fund, again, where we ought to be at about 80%, we're at about 82% on revenue, so that's pretty close. What we look at closely on that is water revenue and sewer revenue, and they're running respectively about 81% and 80%, so we're in pretty good shape there. And on the other side of the equation, again, against expenditures, where we ought to be at about 80%, we're about 6% ahead, so that's the good news. We're running at 86%. Between the two funds, that would suggest a positive cash flow of about $10,000. But I can bore you more if you'd like to hear more about that. But a couple of quick things on our operation on the utility budget, where we do look at sewer bill, water and sewer build. We right now are exceeding. That's to be expected this time of year. You know, we suffered there for a few weeks, didn't get any rain, and that didn't stop everybody from wanting to water their garden or wash their car. So a couple of other things we want to talk about tonight is the premium renewal on the health insurance. I'd sent everybody on the council this email that did some comparisons where we were given direction by Human Resources. So for the audience benefit, we have GMA, Georgia Municipal Association. We've carried their insurance under Blue Cross Blue Shield for any number of years. This year's premium, I guess not to be surprised, it seems like everything goes up. It's just under 8% increase. So the council's charge tonight is to understand, to give me some direction on how, because we have enrollment begins October 1st, we need some direction on that. I gave y'all based on what direction I got from Human Resources and our participation. So currently we pay 100% against employee, and we have participation on family coverage. So I don't know if somebody from the Human Resources wants to speak to that or not.
I'm going to make a motion that we just do a budget adjustment on it and just leave it as is.
So I'll reflect the budget adjustment next month at your direction.
That's my recommendation.
If that was the approval.
So let's clarify what we're saying now. We're saying that the city pays total, just like it was paying,
Like it was.
Right.
50% of
So we
family.
pay 100% on employee and 50% participation on family coverage. That's what's being proposed, if you don't change it.
Okay. And you're saying go ahead and keep it at the 50% family coverage and full employee coverage, whatever that number comes out to. We don't know the number tonight. We didn't plan that far ahead, did we?
So we did to some extent. I was certainly not being presumptuous on the council's actions. The biggest challenge that we have is under family coverage. You know, we have people fall in and out of the system. mainly because of their circumstances. So right now, we would carry 6. I would give you a budgeted amount at about 10. So that way we covered ourselves, what I anticipate to be exposure. And that number's really historic from that perspective.
Okay. All right, we got a motion made by Denise Shockley to continue family insurance coverage as in the past, that city pays 50% of family coverage and 100% of employee coverage. I got a second by Garnet Smith. Any more discussion? All in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Unanimous.
All right, so the other thing is we need to set up a time with design architect, with finance, and y'all have, I mean, let's put a date out there. If it's as possible, we could meet next Monday. I think they're available next Monday after 5.
We had some. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Next Monday, 25th at 5 p.m. Okay. That's where the architects. Okay.
So let's shoot for, we'll talk about Lula investment policy. So we've had this discussion. I made everybody know a copy because this has been around for months. That being said, for the benefit of the council and those in the audience, Joey, I do that, Ben, you've already approved it. But for the benefit of the council, so there's an opportunity now in the marketplace because of the high drive of interest rates. So what's being proposed is this would allow the city under an audited process to make investments under certificates of deposit. That's what we're talking about primarily. Fortunately, it appears that we can match what the marketplace is with our local banks right now. So 2 things would happen. I'll remind the council, because of the audit requirements, in my possession, I can make the recommendation for investment, but the action can't be taken without council's approval. And in this case, the administrator, where I would administrate your investments, the administrator would actually be Mr. Homans through his law firm. What questions might you have? So let me just try to scoot some of them ahead. So we don't want to obligate the council too far. And we want to keep an operational budget that makes available to us at least 2/3 of our revenue. Plus, we know we have capital investments, some of which we're going to talk about tonight. Next month, we'd come back, give you the exact dollar amount that the council could take consideration of, and limit the amount. I would suggest you don't go past 15 months in a market CD, and ideally, you would do that within 11 months. But let's see what the market moves and the opportunity. But as we sit here today, I can touch about 5.1% on an 11-month CD as an example for y'all. That's not what I'm asking tonight. So, but we do need to get the market when it's hot. We'll just put it that way. And right now, we'll see what the Fed does tomorrow. They might make it worse, or they could make it better.
But we still need to adopt this policy.
We would ask the council to give consideration to adopt that policy, and then from that point, you would give approval on the dollar investment, not this evening.
Right. Any more discussion? Any more questions?
I was just looking at section 4 on the authorized financial institutions. That looks standard. I'm curious about the last bullet in the second section, the insurance coverage.
Section
evidence.
2?
Yeah, section 4, authorized financial institutions, depositories, and broker-dealers. I just wanted to make sure that I fully understood that particular bullet item.
So that's a great question to ask. So we actually are covered in a different way. in that our investments are insured at 110%. Now, I say that, Joe, you might want to speak to that. The legislature, in their infinite wisdom, a couple of years ago, we might want to stop and let that settle in their infinite wisdom. All the banks used to have to actually pledge 110%. That is no longer the case. Now, they can bundle those dollars, and the state allows them now to insure up to 55%, I believe, Joe, is the amount. So, in our case, people are quite familiar with investments, $250,000. That's what the feds, in our case, we're assured at 110% of that value.
Okay. And that's what we're limiting. We're not limited to that amount only, we're just limited to that amount in any single investment action that we take, correct?
Yeah, there's not actually a limit on ours. You could take an amount up to $1 million. It's not probably going to be my recommendation.
Right.
In the event the world came to an end, it'd be probably better to break up. The example I'd give you, if you went 11 months to break up, if you invested $1 million, break that up into $25,000 increments. The world comes to an end, you can take a penalty only on those amounts you need rather than have to take the full blunt.
Understood. Thank you.
Anybody else? Well, I entertain a motion. Was that your motion, Garner, to accept this? Yes. Motion made by Garner Smith to accept the investment policy, second by Gene Brownman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. It's unanimous.
So the last thing is the annual pre-audit was actually going to begin today. Back and forth, we're having conversations, so I would anticipate hopefully that'll begin next week with the idea that they're usually here for a period of week that can sometimes run over. We work around their schedule and vice versa. So that very well could be all of next week or go into the following week as well. Just bear that in mind.
Oh, thank you. Water and sewer.
Let's see. A couple of things we want to talk about. We'll try to keep them in the order that we were. We'll talk about right now water and sewer current conditions. I already expressed to y'all our consumption is fine, our production is fine. We have proposed to a water line extension on Belton Bridge Road, and I copied the council. So we had 6 bids, the high bid being $110,362, excuse me, the low bid, and the high bid being $231,480. We have certified the low bid with Dale Construction Company, and they have satisfied all the means of the contract up to this point. If the council approves the low bid tonight of $110,362, then we would ask for the bond to be presented, and we would go forward with a notice to proceed and a pre-construction meeting. But it's up to the council tonight of questions you might have.
What was that bid amount from Dale Construction? You said
So,
160?
I think I gave everybody a copy, but the bid amount was $110,000.
Oh, 110,362. Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yes, I posted the lowest first and the highest. And I'm not too concerned. A lot of times we want to be pretty close, but having 6 bids and 5 of those bids were within $40,000 of each other. The one bid at $231 was the exception, and we look at actually the line items to see how the calculations were made to make sure there wasn't an error made from low bidder as well as the high bidder. In this case, we just recognized the high bidder. Historically, in this particular bid, he was high on every avenue.
Any more questions?
I'd make a motion to go with Dale at $110,000.
Motion made by Garnet Smith to accept the low bid on this water line Burton Bridge Road. Do I get a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Garnet Smith, second by Tony Cornett. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Unanimous.
Let's see, so well exploration, so, as the council's aware, we've been trying to identify 4 new well sites. We had the opportunity to have the geologist out here last Thursday. We are close to confirming a 3rd site, but have not been successful in finding the 4th site. And for those in the audience, and a reminder to the council, the idea is when we do the test wells, that we would hire the well driller. He would start one, complete that, go to the next location, complete that, and go to the next location. Why would we do that? Because they are very far behind in their work and their capabilities, so we'd like to line them up. As soon as we solidify that 3rd location, I'll communicate that to the council. We have already given direction to the well drillers to be available as early as the 1st of November. So we'll keep you up to speed on that.
Okay. Yeah, Utility Committee, a whole bunch of stuff here that went on.
Yes, we discussed that in the last council meeting and during the work session, what have you. And one of the things, well, there were actually 2 items in there. Some of the items were identified, like water and sewer mapping proposal. That's proposed for a capital improvement. We'll talk about that at a later date. The same can be said for the roof. The sewer and rate implementation was suggested where y'all adopted that this past month. Implementation wasn't identified, and unless I hear otherwise from the council tonight, you can certainly take a position on it. We would go forward with the implementation to be shown in the January billing.
Yeah. Anybody got, I think that was a committee decision. I think we did council.
It was the recommendation by the committee. It was bounced around both ways.
Yeah. So we need an approval for implementation of the water and sewer rate increase effective January 1 to be on the bill on February 1.
It would actually show in the January billing unless you give me direction otherwise.
But that
In other words,
the January
whatever-
billing comes out
right,
February 1.
When we read meters in January and
Right.
you receive your February 1st billing, it would have
Right.
been reflective of
Yeah.
the rate increase.
We're saying the
So
same
we'll
thing.
if the council's, that's the council's wish, we'll, between now and then, we'll continue to advertise that, so, the community's well aware of that. I know we had public hearings on it, but all the same, we want to keep that at the forefront.
So we
Need a
need
motion?
It's
a
your choice
motion.
if you want to take a position on it. Otherwise, we're going to identify it for January, and we'll promote it from that standpoint.
Okay.
The other thing that we had on here that, because we did get a chance to talk about a number of items, that was solid waste commercial dumpster rate. So we've brought that to the council and the committee. We've copied that to the council as well. So the problem that we were having was there was an inconsistency between what size dumpster you got and the frequency you got it. So now I'm comfortable in that we'll have a rate that we can promote that's significantly, as you know, we talked about this last week, significantly under the stated rates for dumpsters. So there's quite a value back to our commercial users. But all the same thing, we would like to give that time to put them on notice, at least 30 days. And the earliest I would suggest is that take effect November. Does the council or the committee have comments on that?
So you did get their cooperation on equalizing this billing, is that
So
correct?
we've got that. My frustration was more, I looked into it, the more inconsistency we found. And
They're willing to straighten that inconsistency out?
we're working on a resolution. Well, we're not going to tolerate it anymore, so our billing will reflect if it continues. But, same thing. If I've got numbers that have been stated and those numbers don't match, then we don't reimburse them for any amount less than that or more than that.
So that's basically an operational issue, or is that something we need to?
It's up to the council. Again, what I'd suggested was I would advertise those rates now to the commercial customers, and then it would take effect as early as November.
You have,
Do we need to vote? Or is that a
It's your,
Oh,
again, it's your
One of
call.
those things. I'm good with that.
I'm fine with it.
it sounds like the right thing to do. It's what it sounds
Well,
like.
and we do want to give everybody notice. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
If we
certainly.
need to vote on it, we'll vote on it. We'll vote yes. Is that a fair statement?
Joey?
It won't hurt if you go ahead and take your vote.
I entertain a motion to implement and notify, how am I gonna phrase it now? It's
I
gonna be
make a motion that we go ahead and make it for November, that it'll take effect
All
starting
right,
November.
so adoption will be in November, and we'll,
the solid waste disposal.
right.
Yes. Do you get a second?
Dumpster fees only.
Do I get a second? Motion made by Denise Shockley, second by Gene Brown for the solid waste disposal rate adjustment and notification. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. It's unanimous. Good luck with that.
So, the only other item we probably want to talk about it, and that is you're aware, you know, we repaired the generator. Originally, we were quoted an amount of $19,000. It looks like, by happenstance, I'd like to take credit for it. I'll give Tangi credit for it. How's that, Tangi? We saved $3,000, so, and that, y'all are familiar with why that happened that way, but anyway, we're balancing the books against that. Do you want me to go on to item 6 unless you had questions on the utility committee?
I think we covered that, didn't we? Yep, I think we're, okay. All right,
So I've continued to give the utility committee, I think I copied everybody, so we're addressing Carter Street and Chattahoochee Street in complete culvert replacements. And the last memo I gave you on Friday, so we're still trying to finalize Chattahoochee on the depth and what have you. So the idea is, once we finish that design, hopefully, if you read the email, hopefully by Friday, and I laugh when I say that because hopefully it was 2 weeks ago. But anyway, we do want to get the design nailed down, that then we would put that out on the street in a minimum of 30 days. So there's got to be some good coordination here. I told you this very well could affect the elementary school and the bus traffic, so we're trying to work around that, and we want to make that part of the bid, whereas we would close. We talked initially about closing one lane of traffic. It's probably going to be better to just close one street, complete that, don't start on another street until we finish one, so we can alternate between the two that run parallel, but we'll keep you abreast of that as that matures. Any questions on that?
Nope.
I have questions, but I'm not getting any answers. So,
we can't answer either, I'm sure.
no.
The paving project.
All right, so let's see. So, the good news is that we are out on the street. I think y'all have copies that we sent y'all as well. So the proposed bids, they would open as at 10 a.m. on, forgive me for a second, before I misspeak.
10/19.
That's what I thought. It was my wife's birthday. I did that just for her. So 10 a.m. So
Bet you appreciate it.
that will come in as a line item, so we'll get an opportunity to address not only the streets that have been identified in there, but actually for the process itself. So the way that works, just for the council's understanding and the community's understanding, is we do that by the square yard. So depending on if we recapture an entire section, that's one price. If we're just doing overlay, that's another price. So it'll allow us some flexibility, especially when it comes to approving the overall bid. If the council finds it in their infinite wisdom to spend more money than we actually have, and we've got some good money, so I say that jokingly, there'll be the opportunity there that they can address those as well. So we will keep you abreast. This went out on Thursday, and normally my phone would have already started ringing off the hook, and that hasn't happened yet. So, which suggests the marketplace is full, but we should get some. We had when we did the bid opening for the water line, we had 4 contractors that day that expressed an interest in the paving as well as the culvert development, so we'll see how that goes. Any
Okay.
questions?
The sheriff's committee meeting, is that still on for,
So I haven't gotten a confirmation. I'm assumed that that date is still good. You'll hear me hit the streets with it, so that'll be something we'll promote, would take place at the depot on the 27th. So we're right around the corner, but, you know, I'm still comfortable if I had an email from them, I'd already have it up and about, so we'll see what happens.
okay, and we're still working on the IBC compliance with the adjustments to the zoning regulation and the zoning and subdivision regulations to reflect the IBC. We're still waiting on that.
Right, so
Well-
Joey's advertising those, right?
I will advertise for your amendments to your subdivision and zoning ordinance for November the 7th. For the planning commission, that's election day, so we will talk with Dennis. We'll relocate the planning commission meeting to the depot. And then it'll be before you on November the 20th. So I'll run the ads October the 4th and October the 11th.
Certainly preferable on our side.
Okay. Now, this is another one that the proposed rezoning of the acreage up on Expressway from highway business to M2 has been changed, and the public hearing has been advertised for October 16th.
October the 16th before council, they did revise the site plan and the petition to remove one of the tax parcels, so now the property subject to the rezone request is 16.99 acres. And that hearing will be before council October 16th.
I think I've lost my. Okay, the movie is, I've lost my notes here. Anyway, the Addams Family
Amen.
on the 6th at the depot. Gonna have hot dogs and chips and drinks. And the movie starts at dark.
Yep, and that should be right out around 6:30, so we'll, Garnet, this was your idea. So we'll start serving hot dogs and chips and drinks at 5:30, and that would suggest that we'd want other council members to help us as well. Let's see, you see anybody not raising their hand that wants to participate? They look like they're all willing.
That
to
was
help.
sneaky, wasn't it?
You and I cook hot dogs. Don't laugh, Tangi, you'll be there too.
Know where she will be on Friday
So it
night.
ought to be a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and, let's see, Gene, you'll be in charge of the weather, so don't blow it, all right?
Oh,
So
no.
it ought to be fun, but
No
the
pressure
movie
there.
will runs about an hour and 40 minutes, so, it's a good chance, brings even the little ones in with, showtime beginning as early as 6:30.
Okay, and the little ladies want to use the depot for a Veterans Appreciation Community Meal on November 12th. I saw Sunday, is that?
Yeah, that's a Sunday, and that was the availability of the depot more than anything else.
Yeah.
So they'll be recognized. It's still a community meal, if you
Yeah.
remember when they spoke to us
Right.
last week. And then, but they also want to recognize the veterans that day as well.
Okay. They're also meeting Wednesday, the 20th at the depot for lunch. Don't think so? No.
They did ask for the amount to be waived. For-
No, okay. All right, sorry, I missed that. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we enter
I'll second.
Motion made by Denise Shockley, second by Tony Cornett to waive the fee for the Lula ladies to have a community meal for recognize the veterans on November 12th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. No unanimous. Okay. Get my list here.
So I already talked about the fundraiser that was quite successful, and reminding everybody the Fall Festival is September 30th at the ball
Yeah.
fields.
And their meeting is the 25th. I didn't turn my page fast enough, did I?
That's all right.
Okay, and the Paul, you gotta get that, a tennis, all right, tennis court.
So
Pickleball.
the good news is that Denise has already volunteered to teach everybody how to play pickleball. And the court will be ready tomorrow, so,
We'll all be there for lessons.
and Dr. Davis is a good orthopedic surgeon that can work on knees.
All right,
It ought to be fun. I mean, it really should be. Right.
in case nobody signed up for it, text MyGov is available on your cell phone. And,
Yeah, and I can't pull it up for some reason. The computer won't recognize it.
You
But
know-
there's flyers over
Yeah.
on the table on Text My
just
Gov.
go to City Little website. You can't miss it. It pops up every
Yep.
time you change pages. So it is there. That's how you sign up for that. We got to schedule 3 committee meetings.
No, that one's a dead soldier. We already did all that, so good for us.
All us?
Human Resources was done anyway. We do need to talk about, Street Committee has a couple of issues they can address later,
So we'll schedule a meeting after the meeting.
if it's needed.
Okay.
And that date for September 23rd, Mr. Mayor, I apologize, I'm just slipping. I wish somebody chastised me, send me home for a day. But it's October. Isn't that a good punishment, send me home for a day?
Again?
I like it.
We can't be that good to you. Okay, we're still trying to schedule a council retreat. It's gonna be,
No, it's one that we would bring in October. We just like
Yeah.
y'all to put that in the back of
Yeah.
your mind, that we could set aside, a 4-hour time and place. Lanier Tech has already graciously said that they would make room available.
okay, we didn't do executive session now, Joey? Okay. Okay, we're gonna have an executive session about land acquisition, but before we do that, we're gonna have citizens' comments, then we'll have, let's do citizens' comments, then we'll have Mordecai's comments.
So you had one item, Mr. Mayor,
Permit.
where the request was for using an LED board.
Oh, yeah,
And, if the council would, I think Mr. Wilson brought that up. So just to let you know, so the policy says that the only ones that can use the LED board are those that benefit of using the depot or ball fields and that. So I just caution you, not that I'm not in favor of it, Mr. Wilson. Look at me, I'm in favor of it. But you make the exception for one, you make the exception for all. So I don't have a problem
Question.
advertising it
do
on the LED
you,
board.
do you create an artwork, or somebody create artwork?
No, they
Yes.
would provide the artwork,
That's,
right.
so-
Yeah, you
I
don't want me
I
correcting.
thought it had to be some kind of digital artwork
Yeah,
submitted
and I
to
can
you.
get with him, so we need a JPEG edition, because I can manipulate that, but, yeah, you don't want me doing the artwork. I don't know if you want me to do the agenda, I made 2 mistakes here.
Well, I made 3, sweet. Okay, all right, so
Council's choice.
do we want to advertise that event on the board?
Trying to remember, we calculated that there was a fee that we had.
There's a
when we
fee
did
of
the depot.
$25 that we charge for LED use, and that's if you're renting the depot, that's an option available to you.
Yeah. We just haven't had this request before.
Oh, we've had the request many times.
We have, okay?
And-
I haven't
and
The-
usually-
the
heard
problem,
request
you know,
before,
Usually
yeah.
it didn't get the council.
In fairness, the problem is, it's just one of those things that area churches are regularly asking. I just don't have the time that I can set aside for that regularly. And I'm sympathetic to it, it's just there's so much me, but I could teach Tangi how to do that. And that would double our efforts.
More work.
I mean, that's the challenge. It's up to y'all. We can certainly make the exception on this if y'all choose.
Well, we can put it on the website, we can put it on our Facebook page and advertise that way without putting it on a reader board.
Right.
You'd probably get as much exposure or more exposure there, I don't.
It will. As a rule, that's generally what we do.
That would probably, we're not trying to discourage this, but you understand our problem. So,
I think we may want to include this in evaluation for a different project. Yeah.
Previously, before this administration, I know that they used the reader board to advertise all the businesses in town anyway.
We still do.
we still do.
So.
Yeah, we have a business a
That's
week.
not, we're not renting the depot, but the businesses are still included on the reader board.
Good point.
It's up to the council. We certainly can, they can supply the artwork, we can certainly put it up. Oh, we can.
Yeah, it has,
I mean, I can certainly do it. I'm gonna do it for the fall festival. I just gotta have the artwork.
Can I throw this out there? The Historical Society is actually co-hosting this with him now. We've stepped up to help him co-host it, so I don't know if that will help.
well, I think that's the Lula Mercantile, local business. Have we had anything from the Lula Mercantile on our reader board
No.
yet?
Oh, we recognize them as business of the month.
Business of the month,
Right.
so we have a rotating program for that
Right.
already. Okay.
But this is a community event,
Yeah.
right?
Agreed.
Not just for
Right.
Lula Mercantile.
Right. Yeah, they've opened it up to any number of vendors.
Good,
And
good.
thank you for bringing out the fact that it's now a sponsored event, co-hosted, I should say,
Sorry, didn't want to interrupt.
from another association. Okay. Mm.
They waiting you to make a decision, and you decide for what they're waiting on, you know that, right? That's exactly what's happening. But, it's a tough spot to be in. I had him comfortable, and y'all had to. What can I do?
Well,
I tell you
I
what,
think-
why don't you do this? Why don't you leave it up to my discretion? And if I can get the artwork in time, I'll be glad to promote it. How about that? That way, we're not changing policy, and we can go forward from
Because
there.
a lot of times you handle this without us ever knowing it.
It's one of those, it is. You don't want to say
Right.
no to one person and say yes to another. It's a community event. I think it'd be beneficial for everybody, so unless I hear otherwise from the council,
We're gonna try, how about that?
how about that?
agreed, but I think that we should probably evaluate this in one of our committees, and I would think that would be
Something new policy.
downtown beautification and development, unless you think of another committee that would
So
fall
Park and
under.
Festival has been
Park
here.
and Festival,
Yeah, doing
that's a
in
good
the
one, yeah.
past. Yeah.
Is that something that, we can try to put on an agenda for the next Park and Festival committee?
We can, so we can revisit that. And like I said, it's already a stated policy, and we can talk a little bit more about that in the immediate future.
Okay. That was tough, wasn't it? Now. It's kind of fun watching her squirm up here, y'all. Hey, I do it all week. So. Okay, now it's time for citizen comments, I think. Everybody remembers the rules.
Amy Cornett, Mickham's Way, Lula. I just have a question. What is the sheriff's community meeting?
So that's where they come in, they get the opportunity to talk about, in this particular case, they're gonna talk about crime statistics in Hall County and how that recognizes for the city of Lula And they've done this in the past. It's very informative, and we're gonna bring back the idea again of neighborhood watch.
Okay, and are they gonna communicate with us, like, since we don't have our own police department, like, how they protect the city of
Yeah,
Lula?
that's exactly what they'll do, and they'll talk about statistically what happened. They've just introduced a new way that, we were talking about this outside earlier, a new way of raising concerns and how you can actually identify that directly with the sheriff's department. Of course, it's technology again, but it's one of those barcodes where you can just zip and post from there. But they'll show, I mean, one of the things you're gonna find out is Lula is a great place to call home, and when you see the statistics on it, it's even more so. But those are all things
Okay.
reinforcing, you know, it's a great community to live in.
Okay, and it's like a question, like we're gonna
It's
be
more
able
of
to
a
ask them
program on their
questions?
part. They talk about, you'll have a chance to ask questions as well.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Just couldn't stand it anymore, could you?
Couldn't stand it no more. Eric Stewart, 6217 Main Street. I just wanted to just give a couple dates out for y'all in the community, a couple community events we've got coming up that's available for anybody in our community, and they're totally free. One will be on October the 21st. If you remember, we done pumpkins at the park last year at Wellness Park. We'll be doing that again this year. Free community event for all the kiddos. There'll be treats on the trail. There'll be a pumpkin patch. There'll be face painting by people that can actually face paint. Won't be me. We'll have a cookie walk. Just be totally free for our community to come out. Be from 1 to 3 on October the 21st afternoon over at Wellness Park. So we'd just like to invite our whole community to come out and bring the kids and just have a great afternoon with us. And then one other I'd just like to announce, November the 11th, we're having 100% free marriage conference. So if there's any married couples that would like to come and join us, you can go to our website. You can see me for that information. But it's 100% free. We'd love just to pour into your marriage and your family in that way. So we'd love to just have anybody, like I said, both those 100% free events. And you can see me if you need any more details.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I have a flyer here in front of me. There's a revival October 22nd to 27th, and the next day we'll start a revival after your...
Yep, it starts the next day. And we're working with them to utilize parking and all that. So we're done talking to Josh and working everything out with them.
Anybody else? I wonder who that lady was over there. I saw her out in the street.
Yeah. Tim Williams, 6047 Main Street, and Glenda Magnus.
6013 Charlotte Street.
She is here tonight with a concern. I believe, Mayor, you've already came out to her residence, but she has a culvert at the corner of her yard that has been caused by the garbage trucks going over onto her yard. Well, of course, it's the right-of-way, but I think the city has come out and dumped a couple of loads or some gravel there. And back last year, unfortunately, one of the big rocks that the city had put in her yard came through my vinyl fence. And we just want to be able to keep the good neighbor. So I'm here asking on behalf of what can be done with it. I truthfully think it needs to be asphalted and get rid of the gravel before one goes through the back of my car window. Glenda?
I have talked to the mayor and I've talked to Councilman Garnett about it. That's okay. That's okay. I understand. Several years ago, I had an encounter with the city. I kept telling that the water was going to come up through the ground. And I've lived here, I guess, longer than any of you. But finally, the water came up through the ground. We had a big fountain going. And they finally got it cut off and got it fixed. But I wound up with rocks, gravel, and everything in my yard. There's no way that I can cut my grass down Carter's Alley now because the bank's so this way. And if you could do something with it, I would appreciate it. There's still a lot of gravel, and some of the rocks are this big. And I don't want them to go through nobody. And I was told to park my car there and let them take the car down through Carter's Alley, but I don't want to do that. Something can be done more so than me getting a new car. I mean, and if y'all could do it, I would appreciate it, but something's got to be done. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I guess it's time for council comments. Oh, you, okay. I was gonna, okay. Mordecai, you can go now.
Okay. This evening, my subject is about things that is important to the citizens of Lula, Georgia. What we are asking all of our elected officials of this city, regardless of whatever positions that you serve in, what steps have you taken to move this city where it can afford people to have a decent employment, wages, so they're able to raise their family and their children and also educate them. We have been able to have different kinds of industry here where people afford decent housing that is suitable to dwell in. Is there other establishments built here, such as grocery stores, meat markets, libraries, community buildings where people can meet and discuss different events? All of us, regardless of your situation, must work together and stop working against one another for your own benefits, gains for any individual or any special groups. We citizens want our city officials to know that while we may be meek, we certainly aren't weak. Just remember, whether you are a country, state, city, or a town, or an individual, whenever you go against the institution of the Lord and His Son, Jesus Christ, be prepared to accept the results of your actions and behavior. My personal advice to all of you, whatever you are now elected or want to be elected, please don't derive from the oath the position that you hold with to be against you, assign you. If you have, there shouldn't be any that will hinder your process to move forward. And if you haven't, please accept the consequences before you. We citizens want planning commission to work with the city attorney, the city manager, as well as with the whole county chamber of commerce. Thank you.
Thank you, Mordecai. Okay, now this council. Tony, you want to start?
Sure. I just want to say thank you for everyone for being here. We've got a very large crowd here. I appreciate you all taking the time to come and participate. I'm sorry, I don't know if anyone can hear that, but just want to say thank you all for being here. Also, just kind of wanted to thank Mordecai for his comments. And, one of his questions, was, what were we doing, to be able to, move this city forward? And I would say this, and this is what, most may not be aware of, but we certainly are, partnering with a lot of the resources that we have available to us through the Department of Community Affairs, the Georgia Academy, the Georgia Municipal Association, all of which have excellent training and guidance and resources for us to allow us to collaborate with other cities and find out what's working for them and what might be able to be worked for us. And the goal, of course, would be in line with our city charter to make sure that we're a vibrant city, a walkable city, and a livable city. So I know that certainly addressed I know a couple of things that Mordecai had asked for. And, we're looking to continue moving forward with our committees, such as our downtown development, with our beautification committee. So we'll certainly be, looking and exploring new ideas for that. We hope to get through some of that this year. So thank you.
I want to thank everyone for coming out and just to kind of, oh, it's not on. Sorry. Thank everyone for coming out and just kind of back up some of what Tony says. There's a lot that kind of goes on behind the scenes, and believe it or not, things in government go slow. And so there's things that's being worked on that we work on. And if you think you get in here and you can just put your feet to running and you can just go with it and you have these ideas, it doesn't work that way. So just when you think that we're not working towards a goal, we're working towards goals. We have goals that we're working towards. It's just a slow process, and some of it we may not, depending on if we run again or not, we may not see that even take place in our term. It may happen once we're out. So it's a learning process, and if you get behind here, you'll learn kind of how it goes, and things you think you can do, you really can't do. So just bear with the process, I would say. And thank y'all for coming out and your input.
Gene?
I'd say the same thing, basically, and I'll be glad to have all the people out here. And glad you get your input.
I don't think any of us turned our mics on. Sorry, y'all.
We need y'all out here with us, and we value your comments. Thank y'all again for coming. It looks like it's pretty close to full house, and we really appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, Garnet?
I'd like to thank everyone for coming. The crowd looks great. I really do appreciate y'all coming. And I want to thank Mr. Mordecai for the nice article he wrote to the Banks County paper and they published. Thank you, Mr. Mordecai.
I want to thank everybody for being here as well. We seem to be coming together a little bit better than we have been. A little patience and understanding goes a long way in the city of Lula. And like Denise says, it's slow, but it has to be slow to be thorough. And that's all we know how to do. Yeah. If we're going to go to executive session. If y'all want to hang around and see if we do anything after that, you're welcome to stay. Or we'll call you back in when we get done. But I entertain a motion to go into executive session. Motion made by Gene Brown to go into executive session.
Second.
Second by Garnet Smith. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
One thing, did anybody in the room know that the city of Lula will soon be the distribution point for Boar's Head meats for all of North Georgia?
I knew that.
So there's a lot of things going on. That's an example where there'll be from Hall County north, the distribution actually is going up right now in the buildings, getting close to completion. It's up in Mountain Industrial Park. So
how about
that's a good example.
Hunt Brothers Pizza?
Yes.
They're already up there.
Yes, we already are distribution point for a good pizza. Not that we don't have bad, we have Napoli's too, so we're very fortunate about it.
Okay, we're going to go to executive session now. I think we voted yes, did we? Do we not?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Tangy, spank me. It was a little easier than that. Sorry about that.
Oh, Yeah, it was
Is that everybody's coming back in? Anybody else coming back in? Anybody else coming back in? Anybody else coming back in or leaving? All right, we're back from executive session. Everybody come to order now, please. Everybody please come to order. Thank you. We took no action in executive session, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Gene Brown to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Garnet Smith. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. We're unanimous. We're leaving.